Welcome back to the True North Podcast. My name is James McKenzie, and on this week's podcast, we're actually starting a brand new series where we're going to invite our board members to come on one at a time, and we're going to get to hear their stories. We're going to get to hear what drives them to serve on the board of True North, how they got involved in the first place, and how God has walked with them in their lives. And it'll be an incredible series. We're really looking forward to sharing these guys with you. But before we do that, I do want to let you know that if you're watching this in October, we still have the summit coming up. October 16th through the 19th at Spring Valley Ranch up by Grand Lake. It's a beautiful location. The summit is absolutely some of you guys' next step. If you've been to base camp already, the summit is an incredible environment to step into to help deepen your walk with God and understand what it looks like to be a man of God. And so that's the summit, October 16th through the 19th. Then we also have a base camp the first weekend in November in Oklahoma and the second weekend in November in Texas. So be sure to get online and check out all those dates and all the information for that. So this week, our board member is Mr. Mike Decker. Mike has been on the podcast before. He's an incredible leader, incredible guest on the podcast. He's directed so many base camps. As you'll hear, he actually directed the very first base camp that I went to. Many of you guys know him and love him. And so enjoy this True North podcast with Mike Decker. So you have been a part of True North for, over 10 years, right?
I have.
Yeah. When do you remember when your first base camp was?
I mean, I've tried several times to go back to find the date and the timestamp. Have not had a ton of success with that. But I know it's been at least a decade, if not a little bit more. Yeah. I think we were coming out of like the initial phase of trying to figure out what our brand was and who we were and that type of stuff. And at that time it was still called boot camp. So that kind of probably tells you how old it was, but it's gotta be 10 to 12 years somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So,
and I think we told this last time you were on the podcast. We haven't shared your story before, but I think we talked about like you were the director for my very first base camp. I walked in and you were the one leading that weekend. Yeah. And I'm like, man, this guy's got it all together. He's got this stuff figured out. Right. And we've been able to just create a pretty awesome friendship. You've been here for me through some really hard things, and I've gotten to be here for you through some hard things. And I've gotten to see the way that you lead so authentically in such a incredible way. I mean, your personality and what you bring spiritually is, I mean, it's tough to match. And so it's an honor getting to walk in this life with you and do this ministry with you. So thanks for being on today.
Absolutely. No, and I think like when I think of my process of being part of True North, right? I remember sitting at my first base camp, similar to what you're talking about. And I remember sitting inside the audience and hearing the message that was being shared, and like an awakening started to happen inside of me. And one of the things that God clearly spoke to me was, not yet, not now, but someday I'm going to use you in a capacity to be a vessel for you to speak to men like you're being spoken to right now. And it's been so special, right? It's been so special to be able to be a part of what True North is doing. And probably one of my top things that I look forward to each and every year is to be able to serve, whether it's camp director or whatever it might be. But no, man, it's an incredible feeling to do that, you know?
And it would, honestly, anything I could say about that and about the impact you've had would be an understatement for the way that you've shepherded men through that weekend. And it's so cool. Yeah. So I'm so glad I've been trying to get you on the podcast for a long time. You just have such a dynamic personality, and your walk with God is such a great example for people, and the wisdom you have. And so excited to dive into that today. And I want to start with kind of give some context to your life right now, your family, all that stuff.
Yeah, man, pretty interesting. You probably wouldn't notice it by my really good looks, but I really am a grandpa. Yeah. So I have two granddaughters, so Riley and Riker. Rowley's 5 and Riker's 3.
Yeah.
And my son Jace. So he has given me those amazing girls, and has a really good relationship with his wife Liz. And then I have my daughter Micah.
Mm-hmm.
So Micah is 20 years old. Man, God has done so many cool things through our kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then to be a grandpa has been such a really, I don't know, people always say it's the best experience you'll ever have,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I'm living it, and I
Yeah.
can tell you it really is cool. And it's probably because, right, and this is something that for men right now that you're kind of working through. I know this isn't about me, but one thing you'll catch about me is if God prompts me, I'm probably going to say it. So, uh, but man, you're probably in a season of your life right now that you're a dad. And the one thing, if I have any regrets, and I hate to use that word, but things that I would look back on and maybe pivot or change would be, you know, back then I was trying to build myself.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've realized that I have no way of controlling those things, right? And so now I'm able to surrender that, give that over to God. And so the presence that I have with my granddaughters looks different. And it could be because of my grandkids, right? Like the responsibility to shepherd them in a way that your kids are a lot different.
Yeah.
But if there's one area that I wish I could go back and pause time and do different and have a conversation with myself, it would be slow these moments down, right?
Mm.
And be more available, because I'm going to continue to grow you how I need to grow you. And you don't have to try to chase after the things, right? And that was a lot of my story, right? Growing
Mm-hmm.
up was that piece of trying to be the person that I believed I needed to be, or more importantly, that the world told me I needed to
Yeah.
be. Married to an incredible woman, Jamie, right?
Yeah.
We've been married for 23 years.
Wow.
It's wild. Yeah. Been together for almost 25.
Yeah.
I've been with her more of my life than
Yeah.
anyone else. Like, it's just crazy,
Yeah.
And so, man, and in a marriage again, right, I'd probably slow things down a little bit and better understand what it means to walk as the husband that God's calling me to be.
Mm.
And man, I don't ever get everything right, but the thing that I've realized in my life more and more recently is that, the overreaction that I used to have as a young man, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's part of growing as a grandpa, but I don't have those at the level that I used to,
Yeah.
right? And I'm able to shift my focus back to God in a way that I wasn't able to do before.
What's
Um,
helped you get there?
I mean, I think it's the maturing in my walk with Christ,
Yeah.
right? Like, really, it's interesting because when things come against me or when I feel the pressure of the world, like I have enough training, I think that's probably the word, and at bats that
Mm-hmm.
I know really what those promptings are and to call them out for what they are,
Yeah.
right? And that could be either God prompting me in a way to respond, or it could be the pressures coming against me and it's getting me to not respond in a way that God's calling me to. And so I've learned to kind of slow it down in order to have the proper response, right? We're so quick because life is coming at us at such a fast pace that we just respond, right? Because that's what we believe we need to
Mm-hmm.
do. And we don't take that time. And I think that's what God is he's
Yeah.
walking patiently with us and asking us to slow down.
Yeah.
My daughter, I see her right now, she's starting her career, graduated as an esthetician, and man, she's crushing it in all levels. But she brought something really cool up, like, hey, I don't want to get too busy to where if I feel like I need to take time to go and discover and to be and to become these things, I don't want to just jump in full force into career, but I also want to be patient enough to know that God's walking me in and through this. And so it's been pretty cool to see
Yeah.
her gain that wisdom at such a young age, right? And I look back at myself and man, hammering a nail, right? Like I'm just, let's go get
Yeah.
it, So it's cool to see even that take place in my
Yeah.
life, right? As an occupation, I get the opportunity to partner with mortgage advisors across Oklahoma and Texas. I served in that capacity as a really long time, building high level trust with people and walking them through their financial goals when it comes to buying a home. And it's a wild story, but God called me up and out of that, right? Our whole mission when I used to do that with families, it was to create an environment that honors God's kingdom and loves his people.
Mm-hmm.
And that word curate, so for many of you guys that are part of True North, you kind of get a new name. And for
Mm-hmm.
those that you don't, hopefully you get an opportunity to share in that.
Yeah.
But the new name that God gave me was curator, and
Yeah.
it means to look after and preserve. And so my whole mission in my life is that, right? So
Mhm.
that's the lens in which I kind of view things through. And so as my occupation, it's like I need to look after these people because you need to shepherd them in the right way.
Yeah.
And so, man, one of the most rewarding things I've ever done, but also one of the most challenging.
Yeah. So does that really make you come alive and really enjoy that line of work?
Oh yeah, man. I
Yeah.
think again, right? Like just getting to coach people through things. And again, in my early days of being in this position, I would have rushed things just to get to
Mhm.
like the outcome.
Mhm.
And now what I've learned, whether I'm talking to someone on the sales side or operations side, or even a referral partner that we're working with, like really slowing down the pace and
Mhm.
listening.
Mhm.
Because again, a lot of people separate occupation and then they separate the ministry that God is putting in their life. And what I've learned is you don't do that,
Yeah.
right? Like you walk with God continuously. And so even in those moments, it might not be me sharing the true gospel message, but I'm getting to share in something. And he's kind of prompting and pricking as we go
Yeah.
along. And
Like
just to
you're
have the
sharing your character with
exactly.
them, and that's
Yeah.
drawing them closer to
Yep.
Jesus, even though you're not even saying anything about it.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
for sure.
What this kind of a rabbit trail back to what you said earlier, but um, practically, do you have any advice on the slowing down with your kids or slowing down in your marriage to like soak those moments in or be more present?
I mean, I think it's really hard to pour out of an empty cup,
Mm.
right? And if the expectation is your life, you want to slow down for those people,
Hmm.
for your kids and for your spouse, you have to make certain that you're slowing down for yourself.
Yeah.
So very practical, easy way. Obviously, John Eldridge has been a big impact in my life, and so he created a pause app,
Hmm.
right? And using that, like in my mornings, I mean, we get the fortunate opportunity to live at a place where the sunrises are every morning. I promise you, I walk up, I go let my dog Banks out. He's this English bulldog who's just crazy and he'll bark a lot. And every morning I walk out and I see the sun starting to come up. And it's just a reminder of just a new beginning.
Mm.
And in that moment, like my communication for the questions you asked would be like I have to take that time for myself.
Yeah.
And in the days that I don't do that, right, James, and the days that I don't slow down enough and I don't spend that time, whether it's in God's word or whether it's doing a pause, those are the times where I feel the more
Hmm.
rush.
And that was, and that would look more, that'd be more of a glimpse into your past of how you career wise got to where you were at. Was you woke up probably, I'm guessing you were driven to
Yeah,
like, okay, missions on, let's
yeah.
go.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Like I was it's interesting in this last season of my life, um, God really called me to I used to be someone that was a whatever it took, like and sometimes like I don't want to say walk over people, but if you had a disbelief on what my vision was to achieve and the direction in which we were going, like, and I knew that, then I wouldn't take the time to slow down and better understand why you feel like that or
Mhm.
why you're expressing that type of concern. I would have just been like, well,
That's a you problem.
right.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Like, well, that doesn't make sense to me. And since it doesn't make sense to me, like we're going there. So either
Yeah.
buckle up or hop out.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And now I probably learned through that slowness and that stillness to listen to those things
Hmm.
because ultimately like there's probably a little bit of value to be had in actually listening to those conversations.
Hmm.
Because used to it was like, well, man, God speaks to me, right? And he speaks through people when I'm in ministry,
Hmm.
but now he speaks through people in my vocation as
Yeah.
well. So
So I'll ask this question not because I need to know the answer, because I've already got it all figured out.
for sure.
So it's not me at all. But you're sitting in a seat right now where you've had some success and you've built in the margin in your life to have the authority over your kingdom to
Mhm.
take that time. And a lot of men in their 20s and 30s are trying to build what you have.
Yeah.
How, what would be your direct encouragement for them that you have to take this time seriously? Like, because a lot of young men will just say, I don't have time to take the time, right?
Mhm. Yeah. And because I've been in that position, I know exactly what you're asking. The advice would be simple, right? If you don't, he will,
Hmm.
right? Like God is so after rescuing the heart of men that ultimately he's trying to create this space where he can have this intimate relationship with you.
Hmm.
And if you do not create the space, I promise you, he will create the space for you.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, whether you like it or not,
That's so
right?
good.
And the world looks at that as, whether it was me losing a business or me having a financial foreclosure or whatever it is, and the world looks at that as, man, you fell down, right? And you had strife and struggle. But I look at that as God forcing me to slow
Hmm.
down, right? And so what you can have it either way, right? And if you look at the outcome of people that follow Christ, like even though you've had to go through those trials, there's usually really good on the end of it.
Hmm.
But for those men that are younger and fighting
Yeah.
to not pause or not slow down, um, I would ask this, right? Like a lot of how I do life is typically through the lens of you'll know it by its fruit.
Hmm.
What's what's the bad side of slowing down, right? And for most men, it's the world that tells you that.
Hmm.
And it can come in the form of a spouse, it can come in the form of a kid, and it can come in the form of all those things. But imagine this, right? Imagine if your kid is pulling at you and you have that built-in time and you're like, hey, son, like dad sets this time aside, right? In order for him to build relationship with his maker and
Hmm.
his father. And so give me those moments, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with your spouse, but I think the question that you're asking is how do you convey that that's needed? Well, if you choose not to, like I
Yeah.
promise you, he'll choose a way to make sure you know that it's needed.
Yeah. That's so good. Um, so you have been on the board. Is it 7 years? 7 or 8
Probably.
years? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've been on the board a long time, and the reason we're doing this series is to just introduce our board
Mhm.
to the world and
Yeah.
to all the people following, just to show like, hey, these are normal great guys that you
Yeah.
guys see at
That's right.
camp and that are highly involved and great men with great hearts. And so I'd like to talk about your experience on the board a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, what was the invitation like back in the day for you, and what stirred your heart to jump onto the board in the first place?
Yeah, the invitation was pretty simple. Hey Decker, you're doing a lot of base camps and we have a spot that opened up on the board and would you be interested in participating? And I knew God was like prompting me to kind of take those steps, right?
Hmm.
Because man, I always had just a really close relationship with the way that we were growing,
Yeah.
right? Because base camp is a foundation of where
Hmm.
everything begins,
Yeah.
right? And so that was a simple invitation. I think they gave me some papers to look at and read. And quite honestly, I remember, I don't even think I read them and,
Yeah.
looked at them. I think I just signed it and was like, we're good,
Yeah.
and then my first meeting, right, I got to kind of listen. And at that time, I think we were still maturing in levels,
Hmm.
I mean, because we were all like passionate and had a fire for what God was doing. And through the years, we've created more structure.
Hmm.
We've created more opportunities for God to be so heavily involved in it and to
Hmm.
seek him first in those areas. But yeah, man, I mean, it's been wild to see the guys come on the board and
Yeah.
come off the board and the different personalities. Like, not everyone can be a Mike Decker,
Yeah.
right? And because that would be wild.
Hmm.
And having those different personalities and key people that are picked to be on the board. And it's not picked by man, it's picked by God.
Yeah.
And it's been really one of the most rewarding things that I've been able to participate with
Yeah.
because I not only get to engage in base camps and actually experience just what God is doing through the ministry, but I get to kind of see behind the scenes of what we're praying over. And then when we pray over it and God reveals something to us, then all of a sudden you see it take place.
Hmm.
Like it's just so cool.
Yeah. Have you had uh, any interesting lessons that you've learned through that God has brought you through with being on the board? Um,
Oh yeah. I mean, I think being careful to not convey what I believe is needed and really slow down again
yeah.
to seek God's counsel. Because having the level of board members throughout the years, right? Not everyone would agree. And one of the things that God clearly, like made me very aware of is that we are one accord.
Yeah.
And even if we make a decision, if there's one person that's not willing to say, I agree with what we're doing, then we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to learn to take the
Unless it's
time.
Damon.
Right. Exactly. And then, yeah, you're like, I don't know, Damon. So, man, Damon, man, that guy, he's been such a cool part of my story. Right. Gave me a letter one time, and inside that letter, God downloaded some stuff to him that like I've never mentioned to any other person, right?
Yeah.
And to read that on paper and to have it and kind of what was being conveyed. And I think it was right before I was going up, and I mean, it was an altar call, right?
Yeah.
And just at that moment in time, I really think it was my first opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of a, man, I've never done this and I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And like in that very moment, God gave Damon a message. He gave it to me, and then the waters were completely calm.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I interrupted you.
It's
Lessons that you've learned on the board.
Yeah.
Oh no, you talked about it. Sorry.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, slowing down the communication, being one accord.
Yep.
And I love that you said that, because there's a lot of boards that if it's a 4-3 vote, we're
Right.
going, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the decision. But our board has decided we're gonna take the time to make sure we're all on the same page and we all feel comfortable about that. And I think that's really
Yeah. And I would tell you, there's probably been times where we've had majority of the people say yes, and one person is pretty firm on no. And that one no, it's to discover why.
Mhm.
Like we're all being spoken to in a way, right? We're all leading God's
Mhm.
kingdom. We're all hearing from God. And so like if that one person is like, hey, I'm not sure, and these are the reasons as to why, like take the time to discover that. And it's not our job to convince that person it's a yes, but it's our job to listen to the no
Yeah.
and understand it enough to say, okay, like we're not in one accord, which means we don't move forward.
Right.
Right. And then other lessons along the way is that, hey, you're going to have people that are needed for a season.
Mhm.
Right. I know people have to roll in and roll out. Unfortunately, I think I'm here for a while, or as long as I can
Yeah.
be. So, but and God uses those people during the seasons for different reasons. And you just have to understand like
Yeah.
whatever their gifts are, like we just want to utilize them at a pretty high
Mhm.
level.
Since you've been on the board, what have been, in your mind, some of the most important decisions that you guys have made?
Well, branding was pretty wild, right? Like how that piece happened, right? Just because back in the day, we had this message of come to a boot camp,
Mhm.
right? And it was all focused kind of, military / whatever
Yeah.
and dog tags. And not that that was bad, but I think for most men, like there could be areas in their life that like that pushes back for them not to say yes.
Mhm.
And so when we transitioned from that to base camp, and God really gave us the triangle and just that type of stuff,
Mhm.
like it was so spot on to what I think every person wanted. That it became one of those things where you're like, absolutely, we got to
Mhm.
do this. Other things would just be like deciding what the summit really looked like,
Mhm.
right? Because my very first summit was the one that we did as an organization and went to it. And man, God spoke to me in incredible ways. But I think you taking the prompting to say, I think this should look a little bit different. And now that I get to participate at that level, like I'm telling you, men's hearts are being unlocked at the summit
Yeah.
in a way that I don't think you can get in a lot of areas. I tell people a lot of times, like, hey, True North isn't the only way, but we're a really good
Yeah.
way.
A really good way.
Yeah. But man, Summit was one of those things that I just
Mhm.
saw men sitting together and being able to have an opportunity to share. And there was no, like, this is the hope and the outcome of what you're saying. Like, God was just in it. It was intimate, it
Mm.
was raw, and it was real. And hearts were transformed in that moment,
Yeah.
Man, just the other thing I would say, right, is just our types of camps that we go to,
Mhm.
right? Just how we've evolved to, man, not many guys that are watching this podcast or participate with base camp, but we used to go to Anadarko and it was really
Yeah.
cool. But just who we are as an organization on that piece, like we started to kind of outgrow and needed to kind of and we've done a really good way of making sure that we are at the right camps.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool to
Yeah.
watch. There's a lot, man. I could
Yeah.
go on. Obviously, our swag has come a long way, right?
There is a right answer to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Hiring me
Yeah.
was probably the most important decision.
No, not, hey, I mean, for real, your excellence with creating environments is next level, man. I'll tell you. I remember when we first started like setting a camp up, it was like, I mean, you're like, I think we're doing this the same way. I'm not really sure. And now with just everything so dialed in, it does make a big difference in being able to do that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of
It is
fun.
fun.
Yeah. So, have there been any moments on the board that, and we can cut this part out if we need to, or if you don't want to share, but
Yeah.
that have been hard for you, hard on you emotionally?
Oh yeah, man, for sure.
And you can be generic with the answer too, if you
Yeah,
need to.
no, I mean, for sure. Like, anytime, you have a conflict in ministry, right? The way that you handle it has to be um, worked and thought through, I believe, at a different level, right? Because your belief and my belief at times is no, this is what God is saying and this is what he's asking. And my personality is that's what it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, man, there's been times where I've had to really say, wait a minute, dude, I think that was you and that wasn't God.
Mm,
And that's really
that's
been
tough.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then transition, right? Like having people come in to the organization and the way that the organization has grown and what has been done. And then like the passing of the baton to someone else, right? Like you want to make sure that's done in the right way. And you want to make sure that, like people are communicated and understand, right? And because ministry again, like, is one of those things where you don't run it like a business, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, you have to steward it and you have to be really good at making sure that you have process, system, sequence, and all those
Mhm.
things. But ultimately, I mean, it's God's. This is His.
Yeah.
Like so, like don't get in the way of it. And
Mhm.
sometimes I've had to make sure that I'm like choking down the mic,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
in order for God to speak how He needs to.
Yeah.
So
That's really good. It's really good. Um, where do I want to go from here?
that and your reviews, they're pretty tough,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, having to sit you down
Yeah.
and have course correction, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a challenge.
Yeah.
So
James, you need to slow down. You're working too much.
that's right.
No,
That's right.
that's never been the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the board has been a fun thing and an interesting thing to step into as an employee of the
Yeah.
organization, to understand what a board looks like, and to figure out what that relationship looks like. And I know that our volunteers probably don't experience that too much. But how would you describe, in your words, in your experience, what is the role of the board for our organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I think we are here to hold to, right, what God has put us on mission
Hmm.
for. And then every single board member needs to have something that they bring to the table to enhance or to stay on course with what God is prompting us to do.
Hmm.
And so, like for me, as I come in, the one thing that I think God is asking of me on a consistent basis with having a seat on the board is stay in line with the pace that we want to
Yeah.
go, not with the pace in which we could go,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, yeah, man, I mean, there's been visions and opportunities for us to grow all over the United States and be this really big thing. But like when we slow down enough, like we are in care of men in Oklahoma right now that don't even know who we are.
Yeah.
Right. And so instead of jumping over a state line, like it's been really important to stay true to Oklahoma and make sure that we get the mission to as many people as possible. But roles and responsibility, I mean, we have a fiduciary responsibility,
Hmm.
right? We have a responsibility. And I think in seasons, it's ebbed and flow, like where are we needed. And so, even right now, I would say like allowing you, right, to take steps and to kind of move in a direction with oversight, but not have to have every single thing checked and balanced, right?
Hmm.
Because the way you're walking with God and the way you're hearing from God, it's my belief, and I believe others on the board, that like we can allow that to take place.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I don't think that's been the case,
Yeah.
right? So just that trust level there.
Yeah.
But we're required to meet, right? We're required to document the information that we go over, making sure that we're staying course, making sure that we're having sessions where we pull you out of it and we get to kind of review things that you're working in. Are we staying on track with what the mission is? And that's a big piece to it. And then using the gifts and resources that we have, right?
Hmm.
Like, I'm not going to be a guy that does spreadsheets. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be a guy that probably runs over numbers and details.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to be a guy that schedules the minutes and all that type of stuff, but I know what I'm needed for, and
Hmm.
making sure that I check that box when it's needed.
Hmm. That's so good. Um, what are you most excited for with True North right now?
I would say that we're in this season where I think God is saying, I need you to take really good care of people that come through True North.
Mhm.
In the past, we've had men attend base camp, and quite honestly, I don't know if we did the best job of shepherding them post camp. And because one, I don't know if we had the resources,
Right. The
right?
capacity,
Yeah,
margin.
yeah.
Yeah.
And two, I just don't know if that's like if God was ready for us to do that, right?
Hmm.
Again, resources.
Yeah.
But right now, James, I can see where God is being very, very in depth with making sure that we do that,
Yeah.
right? Because it's just amazing to me. Like, I'll just kind of share, but you have a guy that goes to base camp, right? And they have this incredible opportunity to hear the gospel message, right? And hear it in a way that's downloadable, it's approachable. And not only that, like, now I have a step to take the next step.
Hmm.
And then you have another guy that goes to base camp and has that same experience. And I think at times there's been a difference in what happens post camp. Well, now I think we have steps in place to make sure that no one gets left behind.
Yeah.
And there's still going to be guys that come, right?
Hmm.
And they have this experience and they really enjoy it. And all the life change starts to happen.
Hmm.
But then, man, we know we have a spiritual enemy. They get back from base camp. They get these things to happen.
Hmm.
The goal now, I think, is just to make sure that men don't know that they're alone. They don't have to walk through this alone, and they have a resource if they want it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm the most stoked about, is just
Hmm.
how we are taking care of each and every guy that walks through camp.
Yeah.
It's
Love
been
that.
really cool to see.
For you, kind of in your history and past with True North, what lights your fire for True
Mm.
North? What is it that drives your passion for this ministry?
Man, I tell people all the time that next to my salvation, True North truly was one of the most life-changing things that I've ever experienced. And it really has helped me become the man that I am today. Um, and I just, man, I see whether it's, I mean, take any event you go to. I mean, you walk into a church, right? And if you just step back and you just watch the way men are interacting with other men and how they're interacting with their families, and just the levels in which they're stepping up to say yes, um, it's not happening at the pace that it needs to.
Yeah.
There are a lot of men whose hearts are locked
Yeah.
away. And I believe that we have something that can start to unlock those men's hearts, because it did mine,
Yeah.
right? I always tell people, if the gospel message doesn't take your breath away, then something will.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of somethings in this world,
Yeah.
right? But for me, what I'm most excited about is just, it is the consistency in which men are changed when they come to our camps.
Hmm.
Like every single time, right?
Yeah.
As a camp director, going in and hanging out with these guys, and like, every camp is different. I don't know how many I've done, honestly. It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And every time when I show up, God downloads like, this is what this camp is going to be about. And here's kind of the things that you walk through. And then while you're at camp, like God's asking you to shift and to mold and to be and to do. And like, we're responding in a way at this point in time that's like, we're not so rigid. We're letting the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
work through that. And you see men just start to wake up. It's like this
Yeah.
veil that's been lifted.
Yeah.
And things like, I've never heard this.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Can this be true?
Yeah.
And is this real? And if it is, I want so much more of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the amount of marriages that we've seen restored, right? And not just that, but the amount of men that we've seen restored. I was actually meeting with a guy yesterday, right? Came up to my office and hung out for like an hour. And this is a guy that went to base camp. And man, he was super frustrated. I mean, he was angry while he was there, was working through some just really deep rooted sin. And the amazing piece to it of by the time he was done with base camp, like he realized that there were pieces unlocked that had been locked for so long. And since that day, God has called him into ministry. And literally, he's a full-time minister here in Oklahoma City, doing God's work full-time. And base camp was a catalyst to those things being unlocked inside of him, right?
Wow.
And it's just like, I promise you, those stories exist time and time and time again.
Yeah.
And that's just one of them. And so what gets me the most fired up is like men realizing the potential, right?
Yeah.
Calling them up into their greatness that God wants to have them become, because not because of who they are, but because of who he is. And because if he's that, it means you can be that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's my story, right? Always had to do it on my own, you know? Couldn't trust things in my life, people in my life. And God revealed to me that that's not how it has to be, right? That's not the lens in which you have to see your life. And it's like taking glasses off on a sunny day, right? Like, man, there's goodness to having sun penetrate your eyes, right? And some of those guys, it's as simple as that, right? So
disclaimer, don't look straight at the sun.
That's right. I like it.
If you're hearing that for the first time here,
right.
please.
That's right. Yeah, that's good.
We get what you mean.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Man, what was I going to ask? Darn.
You know, really cool story. And I don't know if I've shared this before on a podcast, but you know, even for a guy like myself that, man, I've led in church, man, I feel like I do a good job of leading my family. I feel like I have great relationships with other men. And when God prompts my spirit, I feel like I move in a really good way. But it's just the little things I think that God's asking for, right? And a lot of men right now, I think, are, including myself at times, but this is a story, and I'll get to it. I'm at the summit, right? I've never had my new name. And I've always prayed through it and prayed over it. And God literally like calls me up into the wilderness and he asked me to take my shirt off, which is really silly, right? And I would have got made fun of a million times, and luckily I didn't get caught doing it. But I just remember that moment of doing that obedient act, right? And when I took it off, like he clearly told me that the thinness of that t-shirt was the difference between who I need you to become and who you've been acting like. And your willingness to be obedient, like now we can get started, right? And I think a lot of guys, like it's this rinse and repeat cycle of life, right? Like the day starts like this, the day happens like this, and the day ends like this. And it doesn't have to be that way, right? Like walking with God, right? If you're really walking with him and walking with Jesus and the Holy Spirit is interceding and prompting you, like, man, it should be really engaging, and it should be really authentic, and you should feel things come alive inside of you, right? Like I've never been a fisherman ever, right? And even as a young kid, my mom loves to fish, my stepdad, my brother, and I liked it, but didn't love it. But here recently, God has awakened something in me, and man, I love to fish. Yeah. Like, I mean, go out during the day, right? Throw a pole early morning. And do I love to catch them? Absolutely, right? but just that act of just simpleness,
Yeah.
right? And I've come alive in it. And I think a lot of times when you're walking with Jesus, you look at your past and you go, yeah, but that was never something for me, right? But it doesn't mean it can't become
Yeah.
something for you. And so just being obedient to like try
Yeah.
to step into areas
Yeah.
that maybe in the past like seem like they weren't anything of
Mhm.
value,
Yeah.
maybe previously you wanted to play a musical instrument,
Mhm.
right? And you're like, nah, man, I felt at that. It wasn't good. But because of the season that you're walking with Jesus in,
Mhm.
like literally, if he's prompting your spirit to do something and in the past it never came to anything,
Yeah.
I say try it.
What other kind of adventure has there been for you? What other kind of things do you love to do? And
Yeah, man. I love to work out. And that's just an obedience thing for me.
Mhm.
Um,
What style of working out?
Man, I mean, I've done it all. Like, dude, I've heavy lifted, I've CrossFit, I've done just your traditional gym bro stuff.
Yeah.
Right now it's like in a group setting with some guys in the
Yeah.
gym, show up, there's a workout on the board, we get after it, I just like the way you can push yourself to exhaustion.
Yeah.
And then it's like I can be exhausted and still know that like I can still do other things.
I think
Right?
we need to start a True North gym.
Come on. That'd be pretty
And you
sweet.
can have free membership if you come to one base camp per year
There you
and
go.
become just a
Let's get
monthly
it.
donor, but your membership to the gym's free.
Hey, maybe there's people out there that want to donate equipment and then, right?
Let's go.
Then we just put it somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's been really cool. I like that because I like to be able to push myself
Mhm.
beyond what I think I can do.
Yeah.
Right. And then, I love any type of fun adventure. Like kayaking is sweet. My wife and I recently went to Sedona. And man, God's beauty, right? Just
Yeah.
his creation is like, I mean, I would be on the top of a mountain or walking on a trail, and I could just feel him telling me again, slow down.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in a hurry. I know you're trying to get to this, but like that's going to be there.
Mm.
So slow down, right? In those moments, it might be a beautiful flower that's sitting on the side or a really cool path of how the water was created based upon the flow of it and just being able to be slowing down that pace. Man, other things I love winning.
That's a good
Right?
hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to, man, if there's any type of competition and
Mhm.
a good competition with myself or like, man, I have goals, aspirations, things that I want to
Mhm.
achieve. I love to just drive people to push beyond what they believe is
Yeah.
capable. I was talking to someone at the office today and, we were having a conversation and, it's interesting because in mortgage, like the level of competition is all how many families you're serving, right?
Mhm.
So just changing the mindset of people to there's always more to be done as far as opportunities to help.
Mm.
But we were talking about the 4 minute mile and how like at one time it was impossible.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you're going to achieve that,
Yeah.
right? And there's no way I'll ever achieve that. Let's just be clear. But then once someone broke the 4 minute mile, literally like 16 to 20
Yeah.
people and hundreds of people have done it
Yeah.
since.
Like CrossFitters
Right.
or that have
Yeah.
this huge muscle
Yeah.
composition. Like
Yeah.
they're doing 4-minute miles.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So adventure for me kind of looks at that, right?
Yeah.
Other hobbies, I mean, like I don't have a ton of those, but adventure for me, honestly, is probably, speaking to a group of men, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, there's probably nothing that awakens my heart like
Yeah.
doing that.
Let's talk about, man, you've had so many incredible Holy Spirit moments
Yeah.
of him just guiding you. Do you have any
Yeah.
favorites from camps where the Holy Spirit said,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
do this?
absolutely. If I had to probably say my favorite ever, uh, so there's an opportunity where men go and they're kind of working through some agreements, right?
Hmm.
And you come back and you want to create a space for them to be prayed over, right?
Hmm.
Or to be prayed with. And like, man, guys came back and like there really wasn't a lot of activity there. And like the Holy Spirit was like, no, there is a lot. Like there are men that need other men to kind of pray with and through these things. And so, man, from stage, I just, the Holy Spirit was like, look, you're going to steal X amount of time you need from lunch. And we're going to put that time right here. And I'm like, well, how many? He's like, don't worry about it. So I start to ask that question. And one guy stands up and he's like, yes, Mike, I need it. And then, James, it's like popcorn, right? Like the brave man goes first and then others follow.
Yeah.
And so I promise you, I think I had to pull guys that weren't on staff out of the base camp and be like, hey, I need you to step in
Yeah.
and pray
Yeah.
with these guys. I had other guys that had never stepped into that, but God was prompting their spirit the whole time to do it. And the coolest thing about that was as those men are getting prayed for and prayed over, like there was probably a group of 40 or 50 men left over, right? And I walked up to those guys and I said, here's what I need you to do. I said, in your life, like you're going to have opportunities to pray and you're going to have opportunities to stand in the gap. And what I need you to do right now is I need you men, the Holy Spirit has shown me I need you to lock arms with one another. And I just need you to continuously pray until the last guy walks out of this.
Yeah.
And literally they did it, man, without fail.
Wow.
And those guys are down there just intimately praying over these guys. And as one guy would pray, the next guy would start. And as he finished, the next guy would start. And then these men are getting prayed for. But that was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I have so many of them, but that one just spoke clearly to me because like it was just probably the first time that the Holy Spirit interrupted a camp.
Yeah.
And since then, man, it's happened
Yeah.
a lot.
You know what? One of my favorite things that I've seen you do is before camp. Sometimes it's before we set up, or maybe we've already finished setting up.
Yeah.
We circle up as a staff, and we're talking 10 to 12 guys, and you always ask that question of, you kind of the scenario of Jesus showing up in the room and saying, "What do you need? What are you asking for this weekend?" And you ask our staff that, because we have a firm belief that, with our staff, that this isn't just about serving this weekend.
Right.
This is always going to be an experience and an opportunity for them to encounter God as well. And so you're asking them that question of what you're looking for, and they'll express that. And honestly, just the prophetic moments from you as a leader, I think God really gifts you with that to speak into their lives and encourage them, what you're hearing and what you're seeing. That seems foreign to a lot of people, probably. What is that experience within you? I mean, does it just feel natural, or does it feel, do you know what's happening in that? Like, because you have some pretty cool things that you share.
I think over time, it's like the slow down piece. Me and God have figured out a cadence and a rhythm with that. But what it is this, like, as a man is speaking, it's like God starts to, I don't want to say prick, but I get this feeling of like I feel it, right? And it's like, that's it, right? And then he'll give me something, whether it's like a word or something to speak clearly into. And in that exact moment, like I'm like, he's like, let him finish, let him talk, right? And then ask the one question.
Yeah.
And so it's like, once I ask that question, they speak, and then I get the opportunity to tell them exactly what God is speaking in and through me.
Yeah.
And so it's like this download of like a message, and then I'm just able to deliver it. But through the years of just being at a base camp and understanding that, like, God has shown me that there are men that just need you to do that very thing in order for them to acknowledge that I am real.
Yeah.
Right. And it's enough for a guy to just go from like it's like the Damon story, right? How'd you know that?
Yeah.
Well, the only way you knew it is from God, right? And the only way I know to ask those is from my Father.
Yeah.
But like, it's wild. Like I think everyone has the ability to do that, James. I just think their willingness to do it. And it's like anything, right?
It's a risk every time.
It is.
You have to risk the first time, though, to ever get to the point where you're doing that for a group of men.
Yeah. And I surrender the outcome. Like in that moment, like a lot of what I do is based on outcome, right? In my life, in my vocation and that stuff. Like we have an outcome that we want to get towards, or, moving our family in a direction that we want to be at. But with that, there is no outcome. It is just like, and that to me is super freeing because that allows God to do what only he can do. But yeah, you ask the question of what does it feel like? It feels like there's a fire being lit inside of me. And the only way to extinguish it is to clearly say whatever God has given me. And if I don't, it will build and build and build. And I've never let it build all the
Yeah.
way up because I'm probably not like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see what that's like.
Yeah.
Right. But it's this like just whoosh, man. And there's emotion involved to it. There's excitement involved to it. All of these pieces. Right.
Yeah.
Because I think when a guy is truly heard, for the very first time, there's thing that's unlocked inside of them of, wait a minute, how did he know that? And now I've shared off of that, and all of a sudden it's okay to share, right? Like, and then this little catalyst starts to happen inside of them, and then they start to experience a little freedom with being able to be vulnerable and really talk about where they're at versus faking where they're at.
Mhm.
So,
That's so good. Um, do you have a favorite camp that you've been to? Individual.
hmm. Yeah, I'd probably say 3, 4 years ago, uh, we had one, and God made it very clear during the bonfire night that it was going to be extremely special.
Mm.
Um, but He clearly told me that I needed to have our prayer team be very on guard,
Mhm.
because there was a lot of warfare taking place. And there was a young man, and I could tell that I could tell suicide like earlier in that camp. As I was walking camp, I knew there was a spirit of that, and I could feel it at a super high level.
Mhm.
And I was listening to the young man speak, and I clearly, God prompted my heart to say, have you thought about committing suicide? Right. And he's like, yeah, like honestly, before coming to camp, I was in a position where I was going to take my life. And I got an invite, and I went ahead and came. And so we got to pray over him in that very moment.
Mm.
And we got to pray that presence off of him. And then again, the next guy that came up, similar. The next guy that came up, similar.
Mm.
There was like 21 different guys that had contemplated suicide prior to coming to camp.
Golly.
From an age of 18 all the way up to a guy that was like in his upper 60s. That was like, literally, I walked down to a lake that's similar to like this, and I had a gun in my hand, and I thought about taking my life. But there was something that prevented me from doing that. But then coming to camp and being able to have something like that prayed for, because look, when you talk about that, like that's the dark of the dark,
Yeah.
right? And just the first man went and expressed that, and then when that happened, it was like this awakening inside of men to
Mm.
say, I'm no longer going to keep this in the dark, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to get this out, and I'm going to get it out, and I don't feel shame or condemnation. Like I feel surrender,
Mm.
I feel peace, and I feel whole,
Mm.
right? And it was pretty cool to see, because God showed me that it was going to take place prior to camp as I was walking around, and specifically brought me to this one area to pray over this one place. And it was almost as if in that moment in time, like he took me to what is going to happen and to be prepared and ready for it. And so during that base camp and during that timeline, like those were my prayers, right?
Yeah.
God, continue to work in these men that need to be worked to bring forth whatever it is that they're hiding, in order for you to provide healing in those moments, right? Because a base camp, we're not, I think people get confused, right? Broken people break people, but healed people don't heal people,
Mhm.
right? Healed people introduce people to the healer,
Mhm.
right? Which is Jesus.
Yeah.
And so we get it wrong so much. Like, hey, let me take you to this person because they've been healed from whatever it is that you're struggling with. And if you can talk to them, maybe you will receive healing. That's not how it works,
Yeah.
right? So really being introduced to the healer and knowing that, man, I can say these things and ultimately it's okay, right? And then knowing how to walk and shepherd those guys once it's said, and
Yeah.
how we can supply them with the tools and resources in order to make certain that
Yeah.
as those thoughts come, they have weapons to defend themselves against them.
Love it. Yeah. That's really good. Okay. I think this is the last question.
Okay.
Um, what's your dream for True North in the next 5 to 10 years? And how do we need to get
The
there?
dream. Yeah. Uh, I think it looks a lot like what we're doing, right? Got a moment. So here's what I want you to know. Again, I'll say it. If the gospel message doesn't take your breath away, something will. And we're not the only place or the only organization that can really set men's hearts free. Um, we're a catalyst to what God is doing. But like he just prompted my heart to tell you this. We're a non-for-profit organization. Um, and to get where God is calling us to go, we need partnership. We need partnership with people on the other side of this screen. We need you to lock arms with us in one way or one fashion. And in order to get to what God is asking us to do, we need those partnerships.
Mm.
And so, what do I hope that it looks like? Man, I hope that it looks like hearts being unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that it looks like camps growing to capacity. I hope that it looks like men surrendering their lives over to the true King.
Yeah.
I hope that it looks like young men coming up and not living their life like I did, right? I hope that it looks like older men that have done life the same way, the same process, the same system, but they get an invite from someone and it feels awkward, it feels weird, it feels like, but man, I'm 3/4 of the way through my life. Why would I go experience this? And they come to a base camp and for the very first time, they hear the true gospel message,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we need that partnership,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And man, we have thousands and thousands of people that watch our videos. Um, and it could be even a woman, right? Someone that's on the other side of this lens and you've watched our messages and you wonder, how can I be a part of that, right? Like there's opportunities for anyone to partner with
Yeah.
us, right? And that's could be through prayer. It could be in a lot of different areas. And so I think for me, where do I hope we are? I hope that we're continuing to do God's work.
Mm-hmm.
And if he asks us at any given moment to shift or to change or to become something that meets his requirements, that we're bold enough to step fully into it and
Mm-hmm.
become what he wants us to be.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And that we have our own gym.
Come on. Yeah. I can get pretty hyped up about that. So, yeah.
I mean, we talk about the spiritual and even a lot of mental stuff.
Yeah.
Like we got to start talking about physical stuff too, right? You can be
Yeah.
the catalyst
Hey,
for that.
we were at a camp, must have been 2 or 3 ago. And, God hit me straight in the
Mm-hmm.
teeth. And he's like, listen, there's a lot of men that are sitting out in this audience, right? That, you're taking your physical health for granted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because to do God's work, like we got to be around.
Yeah.
Right. We got to be able to do those things. Like I never wanted to be the grandpa, and I'm an early grandpa, but I never wanted to be the grandpa that couldn't go outside and to play and to do these things, right? Like I'm going to be around for a really long time,
Mm-hmm.
God willing, right? And I'm going to continue to serve him at whatever capacities. And one thing I don't ever want to have to say is, well, my body won't let me do that, right? So it's an important piece.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Man, do you have anything else you feel like sharing? You said a lot. It's been really good.
Do I have anything else? I can always talk. Hey, if you're a guy that, man, you've been to a base camp before, and you're kind of wondering what your next step is, I would highly encourage you to look at the summit, right?
Yeah, it's coming up
Yeah.
here October 16th through the 19th.
And this guy right here, I will be directing that camp. And I would just love to lock arms with you and just be available to allow God to work in and through that.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, like if you're a ministry out there and men's ministry is super difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are some churches that, man, they are crushing it, right? Like men are engaged and men are responding and men are stepping up. But there's a lot of them out there that they just don't know how to get started.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've realized about us as a ministry is we do a really incredible job of shepherding our men.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the last camp, like I've asked people this, I've had conversations, and I'm like, hey, how many different churches do you think participated in our last camp? It's like, what, 45?
No, I think it was actually like 53.
See, I'm even playing it short.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that God's doing in and through that, right?
Yeah.
53 different churches.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what God showed me. I'll just tell you clearly.
Mm.
There's a lot of darkness in the world, right? And to be a light in darkness, you don't have to have much light, right? Like I could turn all the lights on in here and I literally could take a candle and I could set it in the middle of the room and it would provide light.
Yeah.
But in ministry, not everyone is doing ministry in the dark, right? Like our ministry, it's done in the light, right? Like there's a little bit of darkness and there's a spiritual warfare and all these things that we work through in unlocking men's hearts, but it's not the dark, right? Like, and so what I think God is showing us with 53 different churches represented is it's time to bring the light together, right? Because if this ministry over here is impacting in this way and this ministry over here is impacting in this way, like we would love to shepherd those men, right? And it gives them an opportunity to partner. And so, man, he just shown me that we're going to do that. And so if you're a church out there and you're watching this and you're a minister and you're shepherding a flock, right? And you're looking for a way to engage men inside of your congregation, dude, we'd love to partner with you.
Yeah.
We'd love to sit down and have a conversation of what that could even look like, right? Because again, earlier I told you that one guy went to base camp, came out of base camp, and now he's in ministry. But the cool part is how many men participate with True North. They go through a camp and they come back and their level of engagement inside of their church home is like 10x. I promise you. And it's probably more than that. And so we just want to be a resource, and we're not here to come in and to like take away from, like we're here to add to.
Yeah.
And so if you're out there and you're looking for ways to partner with people that, man, we create environments where men can walk with God, they can engage, and they can live out a larger story.
Yep.
But really, we're more passionate about unlocking a man's heart and allowing him to have that freedom. Like I promise you, you send a guy from your church to base camp, he's going to get really well taken care of.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to come back, and all of a sudden you're going to see change and mechanisms start to happen. And then it's not going to be one guy, it's going to be 5, and then it's going to be 10, and then it's going to be 20.
And they're probably going to drive you a little bit crazy because they're going to want you to do everything, all things pointing to True North.
Right.
But we promise we're not telling them to do that. They're just passionate because it's life-changing.
Right. And like, think of how many men like get fired up and jacked up about Jesus. Like they're just like, I mean,
doesn't happen often.
Yeah. And if it happens, it's a short stint, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm 10 plus years in this.
Yeah.
And I'm still fired up to serve this ministry. Right. And we have name after name after name after name. That's the same exact same thing.
Yep.
So man, let's do it.
Yeah. And you've got plenty of reason to have other things going on besides this. And so what I want to say is thank you for the investment that you've put into True North. And I mean, you might have an argument for being on, if we had a Mount Rushmore of True North guys, Mike, you might be one of those guys. And I can't thank you enough for the investment you've made in my life. And you're just an incredible leader, an incredible inspiration in this ministry. And I look forward to doing this with you for a long time, as long as you stick with me.
Yeah, man. Hey, the day that I hang up my shoes in the real world is the day that I ask you if I can partner at an even higher level.
Come on.
So,
so let's pray for retirement to come soon. Come on.
No doubt.
So, all right, man. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
You bet. Hey, thank you.
Yeah.